I mentioned to the listeners that I saw a big billboard that said ABV, anybody but Vitter. And I played for him a little bit of a clip. Seems like it's pretty hard hitting. And seems like maybe there is a coordinated effort here to go after just Vitter. And I guess it helps any of the other candidates. So what do you know about this group?
Good question. I really don't know too much about them. I got a Facebook request, friend request. I was curious about it, and so I friended, and somebody sent me a text message the other day saying that they passed this billboard. I hadn't seen it myself. So is it orchestrated? Yeah, I think so. I do. Who's funding it? I don't know. I think the Louisiana Democratic Party might be involved in some way, but I don't know. I mean, maybe that's unfair for me to say that.
What is a Gumbo PAC? I haven't investigated it. That seems to be the group behind it.
Exactly. And again, I don't know. I just became aware of it a couple of weeks ago.
It does seem to be heating up gradually. Scott Angel has now been running some ads in the local market that we've seen. I've seen some internet ads from Darden. Oh, back to the Vitter thing. The Vitter thing was all about his connections to people like Jack Abramoff.
Okay.
All about his votes that they took issue with, and then it brought up the D.C. Madam.
Oh, really?
And,
okay.
Brought up that whole issue of being on the records of the call girl, and obviously that is going to be brought up. We'll see if it works any better this time than it did last time.
Well, again, I think that, at least personally, I think that the reason why it's relevant is not the fact that he was on the list, but again, the fact that he tried to quash the investigation, that he, even though he had the constitutional right to do so, he was urging the Fifth Amendment protections. And I just have a real uncomfortable feeling about that. Somebody who is a U.S. senator, somebody who wants to run for governor, who is, quite frankly, the only reason why I think that he wasn't indicted is because of the fact that, you had the prescription issue, the statute of limitations issue. So to me, that's an issue. I just feel, after dealing with just as far as I'm concerned, a weasel with Governor Jindal, I just wish that we had.
Are you coming out against Vitter? Are you saying that you're recommending that the listeners not support Vitter?
No, I take all facts in consideration when I, actually come out there and vote. I don't endorse anybody anyway. So
you think it could be compromised? One caller said, "Hey, they've got something on him, and they control him because of what happened." They said they brought up the whole thing about Denny Hastert, saying, the powers that be could have had that information years ago and controlled Hastert.
Yeah.
They say, look at Vitter; he could be compromised by this kind of activity. And maybe powerful forces have more information that they're withholding to control him. Is that conspiratorial?
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, it is. Sure. Again, I don't really care. I mean, I do care, but for political purposes, I don't really care what happened in terms of his relationships that he, I believe, had. But to me, there are other issues that I think are more important as relates to his being, the most powerful elected official in Louisiana.
And what are those other issues?
Well, the one I just described, being, I think that's a very important issue. And the second issue, I think, is, again, both of these, he had a legal right to do. I just think that, that the idea that we're being invaded with federal money and I'm saying federal money, meaning outside money from people, national people, and the money is going into his campaign or his super PAC. I just have a real problem with that. I mean, I just think that. Why are we having these national? I mean, it's bad enough that we have Norquist basically telling us what to do without legislative session, and we're now having these people from outside Louisiana funding, his super PAC and his campaign. I mean, what happened to Louisiana's right to control our own destiny?
And then, of course, you've got people like Fleming and Kennedy and others, I would say, supporting him because many of them want to run for his seat when he wins, if he wins.
Sure.
And he's got most of the endorsements of the elected officials. Steve Scalise just endorsed him. I mean, most of them are behind him. I mean, he's got an overwhelming number of folks behind his campaign.
Yeah, and that's because I think that he comes across as being inevitable, and so I think they want to jump on the wagon. But the election hasn't really, the campaign really hasn't taken off. Certainly, John Bell Edwards has been involved in the legislative session.
So he's been distracted, right?
So yeah, he's been distracted. Certainly in terms of campaign fundraising. So I think that we have a long way to go. I mean, we do. Does Vitter have? I mean, it's his race to lose, no doubt about that. So no, But
I'm just, I guess, interested in the development of this group that I hadn't known about. That seemingly now has some money and doing these ads, doing these billboards. That could be a factor that we didn't realize maybe a few weeks ago when they really hadn't come forward. And maybe that will be an impact in the race. I don't know.
Sure. And
see if the other candidates go down that route and bring up the whole scandal. I mean, this group is, but will Edwards or Angel or Darden?
Yeah. And by the way, I don't like third party groups doing that. Quite frankly, I mean. I just don't like the way the whole campaign system is working with big money. We don't, in some cases, with the super PACs, we have no idea, where the money's coming from. And so,
if I'm not mistaken, one of the people behind this group is Trey Orso, who used to be executive director of the Louisiana Democratic Party.
Right.
We do have some knowledge of who's behind that.
Yeah. Right. And it could backfire. It could very well backfire.
Create sympathy for the senator, maybe, that he's being unfairly attacked.
Well, I mean, he's certainly going to say he is. So it could very well backfire.